everyone. Welcome to this new episode of our Student Spotlight series, where we are able to showcase some of the work our past students have done. I'm Charlotte, one of the outreach coordinators here at CCIR, and it's our pleasure today to have Lucas with us, who did our one-on-one mentorship. So, firstly, Lucas, can you just introduce yourself? So, tell us where you're from, what year you are in school, and then what made you seek out CCIR.
I'm Lucas. I live in Virginia. I go to Langley High School. I'm a junior currently. And I've as for how I sought out CCIR, I'd always been interested in the intersection between technology and its real-world applications, especially in areas where it can be used to help people directly. When I learned about CCIR, it seemed like a unique opportunity to sort of explore this interest through deep research. It was my first time doing actual high-level research like this, and that ability to work one-on-one with a mentor and pursue an independent project made that especially appealing to me.
Nice. And then, can you give us a general overview of what your course was about, who your mentor was?
Of course. So the my mentor was Dr. Nawab from the UC Irvine, and the program was basically kind of structured around independent research with direct mentorship. My mentor throughout the process helped guide me through through the research process, through writing the paper, creating the model, all of that. So for the first couple of weeks, we focused on building the foundational skills, like learning the coding environment, understanding machine learning concepts, and narrowing down a research question that we wanted to pursue. In my case, I also learned how neural networks functioned and even built a basic one from scratch to understand the fundamentals. After that, the majority of the program was just experimentation, refining the methodology, running tests, analyzing results, and then all of that ultimately was writing the research paper.
Nice. And then what interested you in taking this specific course, or what interested you in the subject in general?
Well, I have to say the the main reason why I wanted to pursue this course was I wanted some experience in research. I had never done high-level research before, and I also felt that this would be a great foundation for anything I'd like to pursue in the future involving AI and machine learning. Uh, and and since I'll definitely be going to be doing more research in the future, I feel like that this was sort of like the building blocks for more advanced research in the future.
Nice. And you said you didn't have prior research experience. Did you have a kind of general understanding or any prior experience with AI and machine learning before CCIR?
Well, I entered the program with only like a broad conceptual understanding of AI from a previous summer course, but with very little or limited hands-on machine learning experience. I also had programming experience primarily in Java rather than Python. So also another part of the challenge was learning the Python syntax and machine learning libraries while conducting the research itself. But that learning curve ended up being one of the most valuable and rewarding parts of the experience when it all came together at the end.
Nice. And then to discuss your specific research topic, so can you give us a general overview of what it was about and how you decided on your research topic?
Of course. So my paper was titled The Impact of Rotation and Brightness Augmentation on Class Level Bias in Brain Tumor MRI Classification. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, but in short, basically, I investigated how common image augmentation techniques affect fairness and performance on an imbalanced medical imaging data set. So I chose this topic because, like I said before, I'm interested in the intersection of technology and service, and in this context, how AI can be applied in healthcare. And I wanted to explore this a practical issue in making medical AI systems more reliable and equitable.
Nice. That's a very important topic for sure. Can you walk us through your general research methods, your process? So, what type of research you conducted, what the process of finding or analyzing data was?
Definitely. So, I used a ResNet 50 based convolutional neural network, which basically means ResNet 50 is sort of like function as sort of our base. It's already a highly trained AI model used to detect images. What we basically did is we built on it to fit our specific needs. So then we took data sets of brain tumor MRI scans and introduced controlled class imbalance by selectively removing portions of the training data from individual tumor categories. This introduced the bias. After that, I then compared the model performance across the four different augmentation conditions. None, which basically meant nothing in the image data set was being changed. It was our control group. Rotation, which it physically rotates the images clockwise or counterclockwise. Brightness adjustment, which increases or decreases the brightness of the image, and then both layered on top of each other. For the data set itself, I obtained this using multiple publicly available MRI data sets. And through a process of trial and error, I had to find one that was sufficiently large, appropriately labeled, and structured in a way that fit the needs of the study. It taught me a lot about evaluating data quality and suitability for research.
Yeah, definitely. That's such an important thing to be able to learn. In terms of kind of your findings, do you want to give us a brief overview of your findings, what your most important or surprising findings were?
Absolutely. So the main finding was that the augmentation effectiveness is highly context dependent. Rotation generally performed best under severe imbalance conditions, but its benefits varied by the tumor category, maybe suggesting that something in the images was causing the fairness to be impacted and impacted the accuracy of the augmentation. Brightness adjustment, it produced mixed results. It helped some categories, so the AI was able to more effectively recognize images in one category, but at the same time, it also decreased the accuracy in the other categories. To my surprise, combining both augmentation techniques like layered on top of each other actually performed the worst overall, suggesting that simply stacking augmentation methods does not necessarily improve fairness or accuracy. I'd say that the biggest takeaway is that the augmentation strategies need to be chosen carefully rather than just applied indiscriminately.
Nice. And then was this kind of what you were maybe expecting to find, or was it surprising to you?
Oh, this was actually the opposite of what I expected. I expected one of the augmentation methods to completely outperform the other, but our findings indicated that both of them were very context dependent, and it you had to be careful on which sort of categories you chose, how big you had to take into account the magnitude of the class imbalance and a bunch of factors. So it wasn't as one-sided as I thought.
Interesting. And then my last question about your specific research topic. Have you had any experience yet with the publication process? Are you trying to publish your paper? And if so, how has your mentor helped you through that journey?
My mentor has been very helpful throughout the publication process. So nearing the end of writing our paper, like summing up our analysis and conclusion and all of that, my mentor suggested to me several different high school journals to submit to. I ended up submitting my paper for publication, and actually a couple months ago it did get published. So he helped me throughout the entire publication process, like what to expect, like the guidelines for it, and he also helped me look through the rules of each because each publisher has a different set of rules for the structure and formatting of your paper. So we did our best to adhere to those. Overall, he just helped me tremendously throughout the entire publication process.
That's great. And congratulations on your publication. That's such a great
Thank you.
achievement. And then now we'll discuss just your kind of general experience with CCIR. So firstly, can you tell us what your experience was like in the program doing a high-level research project like this as a high school student?
Definitely. So it was my first formal research experience. So I didn't learn just the technical skills like the coding and everything about machine learning and all that, but I also learned how the research process itself works, from like developing a question to designing experiments and the methods and to writing and revising like a formal paper. Um, it gave me I think this program gave me real exposure to like the rigor and iteration involved in real research, which is very different from most like classroom assignments.
Yeah, definitely. I think that this process and the research experience itself is so different than anything that you would do in a normal kind of high school. Even for a high school level research paper, it's extremely different. Which kind of leads me into my next question. Can you elaborate a little bit on what the differences were like, how you dealt with them, how your mentor helped kind of guide you through doing this thing that was so new?
Well, my mentor was helpful in not just the publication process, but also like the learning process. So for the first couple of weeks, since I was still new to the research process, we started from the beginning. We compiled a list of research questions that I m might want to do, and then throughout it, we narrowed it down and started looking at the types of skills and the different resources that we would need for each one. Throughout, since I was also very new to both machine learning and Python programming in general. He helped me to look through tutorials. He taught me how to build a neural network from scratch, and then it was both independent and guidance based. So I from those tutorials I figured out how to make um, an AI model by myself, and then he looked through it and helps me revise it over and over again. And I'd say that compared to like what you'd find in a school project, it was much more independent, but it was also more self-directed. There was there wasn't like a predefined hard rubric or like a known answer because you're finding out the answers yourself. I had to make methodological decisions, like troubleshoot issues, and refine the project over time with help from my mentor. At the same time, the one-on-one mentorship meant there was a lot more personalized help for you, uh, more personalized help than like typical classroom work, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And then in terms of kind of you getting access to such a niche topic, obviously machine learning is not a common topic that students are able to access in high school in the regular high school curriculum. What was it like getting such kind of a specialized course where you're working with a mentor that has expertise in that area in a subject that you know you wouldn't necessarily have otherwise until you got to uni?
Well, I would say that it definitely exposed me to skills that are difficult to develop in traditional like classrooms, like independent problem solving, academic writing, data analysis, and definitely I'd say the biggest one is learning how to navigate ambiguity when there isn't a clear answer. I'd say it also helped me to determine if I enjoyed the realities of this field of machine learning before I before I pursued it further. Um, it definitely introduced me to the entire research process, and I felt like although it may have seemed new and uh, anxiety inducing at the beginning, over time through my mentor's guidance, I felt that he made it much more bearable.
I think that's a really great point that you brought up that it gives you the opportunity to see even if you like this field before you, let's say, go pursue it in a 4-year degree, both the field itself, but also the research process. You know, research is very different than anything you've experienced in high school, even compared to kind of high school research. So it's great that you're getting the opportunity to figure out whether you like this before you pursue it further. And then my last few questions for you. The first one, do you think this course has given you any insights into your future? Has it maybe informed or shaped how you think of your path moving forward at all?
Definitely. So it helped for me to clarify and reinforce that I'm genuinely interested in pursuing technical work with real world impact. Especially in areas like this where technology intersects with healthcare or public service or things like that. Um, I'd say that even beyond the subject matter itself, the experience showed me that I enjoy analytical problem solving and research-oriented work. And I'd say overall that it definitely helped to reinforce that I want to do these things in the future. Like I said before, it exposed me to the realities of this field, and I think those realities, I think I'm willing to move forward with.
That's really great. And then my last question for you, what would you say to someone who asked you what the value of doing a project or a program like this is, especially as a high school student?
I'd say the value of doing this is that you are exposed to high-level research that a lot of other students in high school are not able to access. And the thing is, with this research process, you're not alone. You have a mentor there that's willing to guide you throughout the entire process. And I'd say my advice to those students would be to like ask questions early and often. Do not be afraid of asking questions because research is inherently iterative, and not understanding something immediately is part of the process. It's having a mentor is incredibly valuable, but only if you're willing to take advantage of that resource. I'd say that progress came much faster if you're willing to ask for clarification and feedback on something. Don't get worried that just because you don't know something, it's going to slow down the research process because it's part of the research process. At the beginning, even I didn't know how to start building an AI at all. I just knew kind of what it was through my research, but through my re mentor's guidance, he helped me to create one from scratch, and now I've published a paper. So
I think that's really great advice. You can come in, we kind of meet you where you are, especially in the one-on-one program, and then build you up from there. And you can walk away with a paper and even a published paper. So that brings us to the end of our interview. Thank you so much for chatting to me, and
thank
congratulations
you,
again on your nomination to our series.
thank you so much.